Have you ever wondered why the euro was created? It's not just a convenient currency for your European vacation. The real story is far more dramatic. It's a tale of power, rebellion, and a secret plan to topple a giant. For decades, the world danced to the tune of the US dollar. Every major transaction, from oil to coffee beans, was priced in dollars. This gave America an incredible, almost unbreakable, hold on the global economy. But across the Atlantic, two old rivals, France and Germany, were quietly plotting a revolution. Their weapon of choice? A single currency that could unite a continent and challenge the dollar's throne. This is the untold story of how the euro was designed to break America's economic dominance. The year is 1992. The Cold War is over, and the world is redrawing its maps. In the halls of power in Paris and Bonn, a bold idea is taking shape. French President François Mitterrand and German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, leaders of nations that had been at war for centuries, saw a unique opportunity. They envisioned a united Europe, not just politically, but economically. The Maastricht Treaty was signed, laying the groundwork for what would become the euro. But this was more than just an economic agreement. For France, it was a way to tie a newly reunified and powerful Germany into a European framework, preventing it from dominating the continent. For Germany, it was a chance to finally shed the shadows of its past and lead a peaceful, prosperous Europe. Together, they believed they could create a monetary bloc so powerful it could rival the United States. The goal was clear: create a currency that international markets would trust, a currency that central banks around the world would hold in their reserves, chipping away at the dollar's supremacy, transaction by transaction. It was a high-stakes gamble, a direct challenge to the post-war world order. The road to the euro was paved with immense sacrifice, especially for the smaller, less affluent nations of Europe. To join the exclusive Euro Club, countries had to meet strict criteria. They had to control their national debt, tame inflation, and stabilize their budgets. For countries like Greece, Spain, Portugal, and Ireland, this meant painful austerity. Governments slashed public spending, cut social programs, and raised taxes. People lost jobs, pensions were reduced, and a generation faced a future of economic uncertainty. They were asked to give up their own currencies, the drachma, the peseta, the escudo, symbols of their national identity and sovereignty. In return, they were promised stability, low inflation, and access to a massive single market. It was a bitter pill to swallow. They were essentially sacrificing their economic independence for a seat at the big table, hoping that the collective strength of the Eurozone would lift all boats. The dream of a united, prosperous Europe was powerful, but the price was steep, and the economic pain was felt in households across the continent. These nations were the foot soldiers in the euro's war against the dollar, and they were the first to feel the casualties. At the heart of this new monetary empire was a powerful, unelected institution, the European Central Bank, or the ECB. Headquartered in Frankfurt, Germany, the ECB was modeled after the famously independent German Bundesbank. Its primary mission was singular and unwavering: keep inflation low and maintain the value of the euro. Unlike the US Federal Reserve, which has a dual mandate to also promote maximum employment, the ECB's focus was purely on price stability. This gave the euro instant credibility in the eyes of global investors. They saw a currency backed by a central bank that wouldn't be tempted to print money to solve political problems. The ECB quickly became one of the most influential financial institutions in the world. Its decisions on interest rates could move global markets, affecting borrowing costs from Tokyo to New York, by accumulating massive foreign exchange reserves and establishing itself as a lender of last resort. The ECB cemented the euro's position as the world's #2 currency. It was the engine room of Europe's challenge, a fortress of monetary discipline designed to prove that the euro was just as reliable, if not more so, than the almighty dollar. So what's the hidden angle in all of this? The euro was never just about money. It was about identity. It was Europe's declaration of independence in the 21st century. For centuries, European nations had fought each other in devastating wars. Then, after World War II, they found themselves living in a world dominated by two outside superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Even after the Cold War, Europe often felt like a junior partner to America. The creation of the euro was a psychological break. It was a tangible symbol that Europe was no longer just a collection of medium-sized countries, but a unified economic superpower capable of standing on its own 2 feet. Picking up a euro coin, you'll see it has a common side, representing unity, and a national side, representing individual heritage. This design is the perfect metaphor. The euro was Europe's attempt to project a single, powerful voice on the world stage without erasing the rich cultural identities of its member states. It was a rebellion, not with soldiers and tanks, but with exchange rates and interest policies. It was Europe saying to the world, and especially to the US, "We are back. We are united. And you will have to deal with us as an equal." The launch of the euro in 1999 sent ripples across the globe. Suddenly, there was a viable alternative to the US dollar. Central banks from China to Russia began diversifying their reserves, buying up euros to reduce their dependence on America. Oil-producing nations, including Iraq under Saddam Hussein, even began talking about pricing their oil in euros instead of dollars, a move that had profound geopolitical implications. For the first time in over 50 years, the US had a real competitor. The existence of the euro meant that America could no longer take its exorbitant privilege for granted, the unique ability to pay for its imports and finance its debts simply by printing more of its own currency. The euro introduced competition, and with it, a new layer of discipline on US economic policy. The financial world was no longer a one-horse race. A bipolar monetary system was emerging, with the dollar and the euro as its two poles. The grand vision of France and Germany was becoming a reality. The battle for global economic supremacy had officially begun, and the world was watching to see which currency would prevail. But the euro's journey has been anything but smooth. The 2008 financial crisis exposed deep cracks in the foundation of the eurozone. When the crisis hit, countries like Greece, Ireland, and Spain, which had given up the ability to devalue their own currencies, found themselves in a trap. They couldn't print money to stimulate their economies or lower their exchange rates to make their exports cheaper. Trapped inside the rigid monetary policy of the ECB, they were forced into brutal rounds of austerity that plunged their economies into deep recession and caused social unrest. The dream of shared prosperity turned into a nightmare of debt and unemployment. Critics argued that a one-size-fits-all monetary policy simply couldn't work for such a diverse group of economies. Germany's economy boomed, benefiting from a weaker euro than the Deutschmark would have been, while southern European nations struggled. The crisis raised a fundamental question: could the eurozone hold together? It was a test of political will, a moment that would determine whether the European project was a historic success or a disastrous failure. The rebellion was faltering, and the Union was on the brink of collapse. In the face of crisis, Europe made a choice. Instead of letting the eurozone break apart, its leaders decided to double down. Led by the ECB, they enacted massive bailout packages and implemented new financial firewalls. The now famous declaration by ECB President Mario Draghi in 2012 that he would do whatever it takes to preserve the euro was a turning point. It signaled to the world that Europe's political commitment to its currency was absolute. This response, born of crisis, actually made the euro stronger and more resilient. The eurozone established new mechanisms for financial cooperation and banking supervision, moving closer to a true fiscal and banking union. While the dollar still remains the world's dominant currency, the euro has firmly established itself as the undisputed number 2. It is used in daily transactions by over 340 million people. It accounts for a significant portion of global trade, debt issuance, and foreign exchange reserves. The initial rebellion may not have completely toppled the king, but it carved out a powerful kingdom of its own. The euro proved it was here to stay, reshaping the global financial landscape for good. So where do we stand today? The US dollar is still king, but its reign is no longer absolute. The euro's existence ensures a more balanced, multipolar financial world. It acts as a check on US economic policy and provides countries with a crucial alternative, reducing the global economy's vulnerability to shocks from any single nation. The rivalry continues. Debates about the future of global finance, the rise of digital currencies, and the shifting economic power towards Asia all involve the dynamic between the dollar and the euro. The story of the euro is a powerful reminder that the economic order we live in is not set in stone. It is the product of political ambition, national sacrifice, and the unending quest for power and influence. The euro was more than a currency. It was a bold, revolutionary act that permanently altered the balance of global power. It was Europe's gamble, and against all odds, it paid off. What do you think? Was the creation of the euro a brilliant move or a historic mistake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the secret history of money and power, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching.